Alright guys, part 2, painting the Inquisitor. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit these little tiny bubbles on the gun with a white so we can put the color of our choice on it for the glow. Again, I'm just going to use the AK color paint pen. They're easy enough. I'm just pressing with it. Can't get the inside one. Okay, well, that's fine. Also, I realized that I missed with the copper a few little beads. Okay, so the next phase in this model, and what we're going to do is I'm going to do a black wash on the main body, okay? Then I'm going to apply the pearl red for the purity seal, and then do a white over the actual seal itself, and then do a wash on that, a separate one. Yep, let's do that first. Hold on. Okay, so for different types of, especially like reds and blues and stuff, you're gonna find that certain colors work together. Bold pyrrole red, I'm probably butchering that, is my favorite for really small details that are gonna be done in red that are kind of like by themselves stand off. And the reason why I like it is because it stands out more when you have other reds that are like a main body part, like on my Blood Angels. What I'll do is I'll paint it, the ball contrast red, or the what's it called? A burnt red if you want to go darker, or an oxide red. This is my go-to for a base for Blood Angels, the oxide red. You'll find that when you do the purity seals, they don't stand out. They don't stick out. There's nothing to it. And it just doesn't look good. And it just blends in with the rest of the model and becomes like its own like, it just blends into it. If you want to make it its own thing, what you're going to need to do is find another color that's similar but brighter in brilliance. And the reason why, it'll make it pop. And my favorite color for purity seals specifically is this pyrrole red. It just stands out off the model, and it's not so far off that you don't believe it. And when you add a wash, it darkens the corners and the edges on it, and it just turns out awesome. So first, let's go ahead and do the dark wash on this. Find it. Let's see, open the bottle. Nope. Technical difficulties. Cannot seem to find my wash. Okay. All right, found my open bottle. So dark wash from Pro Krill. Again, one of my favorite colors. Blue. Okay. to cover all of this. I'm going to cover the silver, the bronze, brass, and it's going to give it shade. All right. And with the grays, it kind of melds into different colors of black. Gives it depth, tone to it. Kind of give it the whole Nuln Oil treatment. You'll see what it does with these. It'll fill in all the little cracks and give it more detail, and it's awesome. If you put too much, you can always, at least while it's before it dries, go back in. Fill it. Now I've got to let this dry. Alright guys, the next phase in this, I am going to use a little bit of platinum white. And I'm going to dry brush this. Give me just a second. I'm going to get most of it off so you can see the process. Get most of it off, and then you're going to just highlight brush. Okay. And the underside, I'm going to fully brush. So I'm going to completely paint the underside white. Totally different brush for that. I usually use the push method to when I'm painting these, because again, majority of the models I paint are already put together. I can't, disassemble them very easily. The owners have them in the pose that they want, so I'm obviously not going to get every little piece of detail out of it, but I can do a pretty good job if I use the push method to push around corners and stuff. And once you've learned how to do that, you can do a pretty darn good job of getting those inside corners. So, go ahead and apply the red. I'm going to be using a darker red on the outside of this. I'm going to be using the Blood Angels Red. Let's see how it turns out. And it's another Citadel contrast paint. One that I particularly love, but it's a lot darker than more bloody looking than most of the other paints. And I'll have to still fix that inside again. That leaves a nice marbling look when you've done this right. Where there's shade and everything else in it. When it's mostly dry, you'll do the edge, so you don't get that overspray. You don't want to dip it again and then try and do the edge work. It'll just spray onto the other side of the, you can see I still got some, right? And I'll fix it up with the paint later, but you can see how that turned out. There you go. I'm gonna let that dry and get right back to you. Okay, that is mostly dried. We're going back over with that white on the inside of the cape and fixing that edge. Okay, boom. So, next phase. I am going to be using what little bit of flesh wash I have left. Actually, I'm going to be doing the face paint first. So, Cadian Flesh Tone. It is the best color that I have found for skin. At least white guy skin. I have a whole nother video that I explain how to do people of ethnicity. If you want black, brown, or like Arabic skin tones, I can help with that. So, first, I'm just gonna take a little tiny bit of it, not a lot. This, I don't usually water down the face paints. So, it's gonna be very, 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 very careful. Because of that. Different brush. Okay. So, and there we go. The face is painted. At least the base layer. I'm gonna do the flesh tone on it once it is dried. And what that'll do is that'll fill in like the gaps around the eyes. Which you always want to make sure that you go back over it a little, at least a little bit, with a little bit drier brush, and make sure that you get those zones cleaned out. And then I'm also going to cover the bone with flesh wash. It's going to turn out with not flesh wash, with the skeletal horde. So I'm going to get that ready, get right back to you. Okay, we're going to do the skull next. We're going to be using what's called Skeletal Horde. It's from Citadel. It's absolutely fantastic for bones, skulls, anything like that. Anything dark, gruesome, and sun bleached. So, here we go. And this stuff, when it dries, it kind of crusts over and it creates a darker tone to it than when you first apply it. So don't be freaked out when you're like, oh my god, that doesn't look right. It will turn out absolutely amazing. I freaking guarantee it. This is one of my favorite colors. Boom. So that's all for that. Next, I'm using the Argax, Agrax Earthshade. Which I'm going to use some for the inside of the cape. It'll give it a more earth tone to it. I'm going to apply this on the white. And you can see how that off-white's the inside of the cape. Now, just for everything to dry, we'll go over the face. Alright, last but not least, we're going to use the Flesh Wash. My favorite of all time washes. We are going to go ahead and clean off this brush real quick. Okay. That brings out the definition of the face. Let's apply a little bit to the bronze. Or the copper and the bronze. I like to use Flesh Wash on golds in particular, especially like Sanguinary Guard, because it really makes it like a little bit weathered. A little bit more antiqued. Now, for the final thing I'm going to do on this model, because I'm not going to be doing basing material on this model, I'm going to be doing just a little bit of red on, actually I should do blues, a little bit of blue on the gun itself. Those little medallions. And voila. Your Inquisitor is done. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a like, a comment, subscribe. I'm going to do these little models all the time. I don't have the same, buying power as like the big production guys out there that do speed paints with airbrushes and stuff like that, but I only teach how to do this stuff like the redneck way, and the traditional way. By redneck, I mean the only spray thing that I use is rattle can, right? And I only use the cheapest stuff from Walmart, so Rust-Oleum. So I teach you a lot of different tricks and stuff like that to stay in the hobby and do it cheaply and to do it quickly and make it tabletop ready and still look fantastic. Thanks for watching.